Good evening, everybody. This is Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero with a quick weather update for you, even though we're not going live tonight, but we do have some things to talk about just because there is a chance of a wintry mix in some areas. Yes, some areas can't see wintry mix. The majority will not see a wintry mix. I would say it's those higher elevation areas, but we're going to take a look at that tonight. Still have a drink of the night. It is White Claw Surge Blood Orange, which is actually a very tasty hard seltzer. So, cheers, everybody. All right, now let's head over to the computer screen and take a look. All right, so starting out here, just taking a look around. We really don't have any kind of hazardous weather outlooks, except we head a bit more west here into Pennsylvania. This is what we're starting to see. Potential wintry mix for portions of western Maryland and eastern West Virginia during this evening. That's kind of where it is right now. However, this can continue to make its way eastward. If we continue east, we really don't see anything going into New England. No active warnings until you get out into the ocean. But we're going to take a look anyway. Starting off, I also just want to mention, we're seeing multiple things. So, the Storm Prediction Center does have, right in here, marginal and slight risks. Ooh, and what's in here? Oh, we got a mesoscale discussion inside of the slight risk and the marginal risk. So, there's thunderstorms in southern parts of the storm, but the northern parts of the storm can bring some wintry mix. That's what we're going to be taking a look at. Now, I do just want to pop up on the radar scope here. There it is. That's the mesoscale discussion. So, severe thunderstorm warnings, it looks like. No tornado warnings. Let's pop up a radar. And it's a small but intense storm, it looks like. Some pretty intense lightning happening around there. And the DBZs are getting up over 60. So that is an intense storm out there. Back in our area, we're not really seeing too much yet. This is where we're seeing it. All right, so back to here. We're going to take a look at the surface analysis. So this was from 22Z, 2229, so 2230Z, which is 530. So that's 529 technically. Right there is the center of our low. That's continuing to move northeast. Stationary front, cold front. But we do have a couple of highs around, so it doesn't have much place to go. So it has just a small little channel to get through. And that we kind of see here on the satellite. Higher level clouds, and especially with those thunderstorms, especially right there. The brighter white, that means very high clouds. A little bit grayer over here, and then dark gray you see because there's multiple layers of clouds in there. On the bigger radar, there's the bigger picture of it. So again, nothing happening here. That looked like just some sort of ground clutter or something like that on the radar. But yeah, there's your intense storm that is severe thunderstorm warned right now. And now let's get to the good old tropical tidbits here on the GFS we're going to start out with. Now, the GFS is not the most precise in terms of timings for the between each model run. So we start at 0Z and we go to 60. So 6-hour gaps, or jumps, I should say. But right here, that moisture is heading up into this colder air. That's where we're seeing the wintry mix happening. And it could make its way into Jersey, specifically Sussex County. That's where the higher elevations are. Going up into the Hudson Valley, that's where we could see, again, higher elevations. But I don't think the moisture is really making it too far north there. Southern Hudson Valley, so Rockland County, Westchester County. That's where we could see, maybe even Southern Orange, it looks like there. But New York City, I don't think anything. Long Island, I don't think anything in terms of wintry mix. It's just those higher elevation areas. Everywhere else is just going to see some showers and maybe brief periods of rain overnight, it looks like, but that's about it. And then stays clear until, looks like, overnight Saturday. So, overnight Friday into Saturday is our next system there. But that looks like it's definitely be all rain. All right, so that's the GFS. Now I'm not going to show the Euro because it doesn't show any difference between frozen and liquid precipitation. We're going to jump to the icon. On the icon here, actually it's much more south. And this is the 18Z. So on the 18Z icon, you can see a little bit of freezing happening right up there. But it's not making the precipitation go a bit too far north, so we're not seeing too much of a wintering mix. If I go back one run to the 12Z, kind of the same thing, just about the same shape. But now, this is where I'm starting to see the bigger differences. We go to the 12-kilometer NAM. Now we're in the NAM model, so that looks much more intense with the snow happening in Pennsylvania. And then it starts petering out as it gets more east. So again, maybe that higher elevation, Sussex County, Rockland, Westchester, Orange County, and anything north of Orange, it looks like not really enough precipitation's getting up there. And then that's about it. So New York City south, nothing. Long Island, doesn't look like any kind of frozen precipitation. That's on the 12-kilometer NAM. But what was interesting, even though they're both the NAM, the 3-kilometer NAM, so now we're getting a smaller pixel size, you could think of it as. So the GFS and the Euro, the big 100-kilometer, they're very low resolution, but cover a big area. Then we go a little bit higher with the icon. Then we went to the NAM, that's 12 kilometers, so that pixel size is getting smaller. Just like on a screen, the smaller the pixel, the more dense it can be, the higher the resolution. Here, the 3-kilometer NAM, which is very high resolution for these bigger forecast models, doesn't go out as far, but we get a bit more detail. You see a little bit more detail inside there, and that's showing a lot more of a wintry mix happening through northwest Jersey, so Sussex County, lower Hudson Valley, even into Connecticut. Maybe Danbury can see some wet flakes in there. Still, though, the freezing line looks to be very similar. It's just this is giving a bit more precipitation going more north. New York City looks all wet. Long Island looks all wet, and south of that looks all wet. So that's the 3-kilometer NAM. Now we're going to go to the highest resolution forecast model I have access to, which is the HRRR. It's an experimental one. So this one also, actually a new run's just coming in right now. Looks like the 0Z run is just coming in. 0Z was exactly 1 hour ago. So all the forecast models have begun processing. All the radiosondes have gone up through the weather balloons that have been launched at 0Z. Now all that data is starting to be fed in. I'm just going to go back one run. There's a 23Z. And we're still seeing up there that precipitation is coming up a bit more north. So, northwest New Jersey, lower Hudson Valley, around Fairfield County, Connecticut there. Looks like it could get some snow. Again, wintry mix, not full snow, not accumulating. Kind of what we saw the other day if you watched my video there. Well, not many people believed me when I said there was snow coming on Tuesday. Stairs up the porch. Wow, look at that. We have a solid coating already. And it looks like all we're seeing there, it's just short period of time. So Pennsylvania, we did see already that. We talked about that. But for Jersey, New York, and Connecticut, doesn't look like it comes into Jersey or New York until 10Z. So that's 5 a.m. So 5 a.m. is when we're starting to see maybe it's getting cold enough. It's just before sunrise. So that would be the coldest point of the day. So there, we're going to be seeing maybe a little changeover. And then let me go back to the bigger run of the HRRR. So that would be the 18Z. And it's showing the precipitation going up a bit more north. So the cold air is in place, it looks like, to handle all this space going up north. However, I don't think it's going to go that far north. I think the current one is what's going to be. So 0Z, just about there. That's all I'm thinking. So that looks like that's about it. I'm not really going to show temperatures too much, but I'll show you briefly on here. It looks like I just have Newark up on the screen right now. So it looks like 41 to 43. So very stable temperatures for tomorrow. 37, 45, 43, 52, 49, 46. Oh, that's inverted. Interesting. So this on Saturday looks like the temperature is dropping through the day. Instead of normally the temperature increases through the day, even just a little bit there, we're getting a temperature drop through the day. Interesting there. That was actually with our last bit of rain that we were seeing overnight Friday into Saturday. And then once that made its way through on the backside of the system, where once the cold front passes, you get quite a drop in temperatures. So that's what we're seeing there. And then let's just go a bit more north. We're going to go up to Albany here and take a look. And right here. So it looks like, 26 overnight tonight, it's saying. So 26, 43, 24, 41, 30, 47, 37, 45. So again, a bit more north, so not really as affected by this next system potentially coming through. So not as strong of a cold front reaction as we were seeing opposite of normal in Newark. But we are seeing these temperatures really not getting into the 50s anymore. Temperatures in the 20s and the 30s overnight low. So winter really felt like it was here last week when I recorded that video. So overall, it looks like we're going to have a wintry mix in some little spots at those higher elevation areas. That's really about it. Bit of a shower chance happening, pretty much a high likelihood of showers we're going to see overnight tonight after midnight till early in the morning, maybe 7, 8 a.m. We'll start seeing that taper away. Maybe by 9 a.m. once you get a little bit more east of New York City, and then some clearing in the afternoon. However, again, in those higher elevation areas, Sussex County in New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, not necessarily Fairfield, Connecticut. I don't know if I will say there's any flakes happening there, but higher elevation areas in the tri-state region can see some wintry mixing happening, whether that be in the frozen type, like freezing rain or sleet, or a little bit of some snowflakes here and there. So that's what I'm thinking for tomorrow. And not really an emergency situation, but make sure, especially with the winter outlook video coming out shortly, have your emergency communications system set up. That was part of my how to prepare for a storm. I work with bettersaferadio.com, so this radio is pre-programmed with NOAA weather radio frequencies, so you can pop that on, and
wind was north at 8 miles an hour. At Fire Island Coast Guard.
You'll hear the NOAA weather radio. Also, there's a bunch of other frequencies that are pre-programmed here, and these are also very customizable. Mark over at bettersaferadio.com pre-programs all of these by himself. So if you want to buy a radio like this is a ham radio, but if you just want any kind of radio that is for emergency communications, feel free to get over there. I do have an affiliation with him, so I get a small kickback. You don't see any increase in price. So again, head over to bettersaferadio.com. That is a wrap for this video, everybody. So cheers. This is Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero. Again, maybe some little snowflakes again tomorrow. See you all in the next video.